So, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. So this is the third horse. And then it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard a voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. So here's the deal. So the pale horse comes after the red horse, and the black horse comes at the end. And you might say, "Well, how you getting that? What does that mean? What you got?" So remember, the red horse was the sword. That was the papacy. After the papacy came into power, then he had the pale horse, which says, and his name that sat on him was death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which we know is the Americas. And that death, that pale horse, is who? Pale face, the pale man, who every Aboriginal Negro knew as pale, not hard. Pale horse, and his name that sat on him was death, was it not? And hell followed with him, did it not? And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So when we go back up to the red horse, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So the sword was given to the guy in red, or to the Roman Empire. That's the sword, right? Because they had already killed everybody. All the other Gentiles went through, Babylon, Persia, Medo-Persia, Greece, and you say Greece is Greece and Egypt, and you can put Medo-Persia, Egypt, then Greece, but all that's right there, and Rome, and then the revived Roman Empire. So Rome was given the sword. It conquered all the rest of its Gentile empires and took the sword. You could say it stole Excalibur. Okay, so it took the sword. And with that sword, it sent out a pale horse. And on his name was death. And his name that sat on him was death. And hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And then it says, because we've switched this up, we're going to read it properly. And then he says, and when he had opened the fourth seal, because we're switching it up, and when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. So the pale horse, which is the third beast, said, "Lo, come and see." Not beast, horse. Said, lo, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hands. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, see there? Because now, wait, we hadn't gotten to the fourth beast. When you read this, if you read this from the way they have it set up, the fourth beast, it says if I read it the way they want it to read, because now we just talked about the red, now we're talking about the third, okay? The red is the second. So, and when he had opened the third seal, okay, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see," and I beheld, and lo, a black horse. So they're saying the black horse is the third seal. But there has been no justice after the sword yet. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, what do you mean? There's not been a fourth. You were still in the third. So, and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened, and see, so boom, okay, so he's telling the 4th beast not to hurt the oil and the wine, but measures of penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny. So that's scales and balances and justice. So we read it properly. The 3rd beast, again, is the pale horse. There's your dumb diverses. There's your Renaissance. There's your doctrines of discovery. There's your papal bulls. There's your Christianity. There's your Protestantism. There's your Catholicism. There's your Khazarian, Germanic, Indo-European rule. But then the 4th beast, which is the black horse, and the black horse represents justice. So after they conquer through Alexander, they're given the sword through the papacy, the Red Bull, okay? Then they send out the pale horse, their pale-skinned people. And after they've done their killing and stealing and destroying, then here comes the 4th seal, which is the black horse that brings justice in the scales and the weights. And this is the time that we're in. Because with this justice comes free will. And people seem to forget that. They seem to think that, you know, that we need to continue in the Piscean age of things, where I just give you freely my free will because you've told me that somebody that you've told me that the Most High has spoken to you. I mean, that sounds awfully like Christianity to me. And I mean, during the Jacob's trouble, that needed to happen because that had to become. We had to maintain understanding through written words and oral words so that we can get through Jacob's trouble so that at the end we can get the new thing that's coming. That's why he said, this is, you know, I'm nobody. I'm just somebody who's willing to give observation. And give observation this way. I mean, there's bunches of us, but I'm just saying. Very few bunches of us, though. So justice and free will go hand in hand. That's the awakening. The gift, again, the gift is free will. You think the gift is knowledge. You may even think the gift is wisdom. But the gift really is free will. And if someone takes it from you, or if you give it freely away, then you won't have it. And we've just come out of that. And my mind is open, and I'm saying to myself, listen, please do not try to oppress me. You do not like me when I am oppressed, because I then fight back. And people would then say, you know, but that's pride, this, that, and the third. Again, pride masquerades as free will. You have to be able to know if it's true free will. And how do you do that? You know that through being oppressed or not. You know, I talk about suppression. Let's just talk about it. Let's call it what it is, oppression. You know? And now that justice is here, we get a choice. We get an understanding to be able to see when people are oppressing us. And based on the way we handle that, will dictate whether or not we pass the test or not. Because there will be people who know the 66 like the back of their hand. There will be people who will use that to make you seem small, therefore having to follow them because their awareness and knowledge is greater than yours, and because of that, you are no one. See, we just came from that. We just came up out of that. The Father said, wake up, wake up, wake up. Is there anybody in there? Just smile if you can hear me. Is there anyone at home? And some of us woke up and said, yeah, here I am. And he said, you know what? Here's your gift. Because in order to even be woke to follow him, you have to have free will. You have to. You know, the more I move in this, the more I live, the more I study, the more I meditate, the more I see, the more I'm starting to realize that the 66 is the book of knowledge of good and evil. And I'm realizing that there's so many books out there that, excuse me, that give credence to the character and the way one acts and the way one coexists amongst his or her brethren and sisters. But that's the first piece of justice. Because you can't go to someone, you know, that's why, like in the 66, you know, the story is, you know, him who cast the first stone, you know, whatever, you know, take the beam out your own. You know, these are the things in the 66 that gives you understanding that there is a justice. So you can't be unjust trying to met out justice. That's what the Khazari and Germanic Indo-European has done forever of its existence. And that's why we have to understand that our free will is the key. Our free will is how we get through things, get to what's next. I mean, you know, I just reminds me of Copeland, you know, T.D. Jakes. Everybody got to get up and they got to pontificate and they got to talk about what they know. You know, what about what you know? I mean, you certainly should know the Ten Commandments. You certainly should know that you certainly should know when you are mistreating someone. You certainly should know when you are cheating someone, lying to someone, hurting someone. Why do I need to be led by a man or woman to these truths? Do I not have a free will to understand? Do I not have a curious, innate understanding of something greater than myself? Why do I need some other person to tell me that there is something greater than myself? See, these are the questions that now get to come out because now we have our free will back. And it's tough. I know it. I know it's tricky because at the end of the day, you want to be in it to win it, but you can't be fully because you can't be of it anymore. And, you know, people are going to be having visions. They're going to be having, you know, they're going to be saying they got the magic stick. You know, they got everything. They know it. Why? Because that's the times we're in. Because it's all in. It's like poker. It's all in time. Put your cards on the table. Stop lying. Question these people. But do it in a righteous way. And do it righteously. And be righteous doing it. Otherwise, you too will be judged. The black horse rides. The black horse rides. You know, we sit around and see things through other people's eyes, through nostalgia, you know, through marketing, you know, through all the ways that oppress you. And you don't even know it. You'll be given talking points on things that you didn't even know that you even knew to give talking points on because you've been oppressed through someone else's perspective, through it within your own ideology where a bit of your free will was taken. And this is the part that gets tough. Because you know, what is it? If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. So at some point, you got to stand for your own free will. Well, wait, I don't know. I need to make sure that you know, what you're saying is true. No, you don't. You don't need to even entertain that. You can accept people's perception. You can accept people's understanding, but you have to apply it to your own because that's you and the Father's business. You and the Father's business. And I truly hope that the first part of this went through because I hope it does. I was having some microphone technical difficulties, but I believe I have it fixed, hopefully. I'll hear it back and know. But you know, this is why things have become so stagnant within the nations. And we who are seeking have become very, very hardened because we're unwilling to give up our free will, yet we still are doing it to some degree because sometimes we have to, but it's coming to a head where we don't want to anymore. And the other nations are having a tough go at it because their whole concept of the free will is now being taken to the mat, taken to the canvas. Their whole purpose or concept of free will is, you know, one, there is no free will. Two, free will is my will or no will, right? My way or the highway. Or I know more than you, so it's going to be by my will. Or I got the gun, and it's going to be by my will. Or I got the money, it's going to be by my will. And it's coming into focus just how errorful it is, or that concept, that conceptualization, that thought process is, how unfruitful it is. Because people catch attitudes, they get irate, they get indignant when they can't take your free will or oppress you with theirs. Ain't that America, home of the free? Ain't that America, blah, blah, blah. Ain't that the world that's not for you and me? This is why we're not supposed to pray for the world, but we're supposed to be part of the world to show them what free will looks like. That to me is a light, Some people say, well, that's in Babylon. You just dealing with Babylon. You ain't supposed to. My take on that is that's a 66 indoctrination of a time dispensation to get us to this point where at the end of the day, things will change. It will all be different. It's going to be contrary to the free will is contrary to the Piscean age. It's contrary. You didn't have free will during the Piscean age. After Yahushua was murdered, free will was taken. It was a power grab. A power grab of free will. Now we're moving into a whole nother age, an exchange of situation. That exchange of situation could be physical, and it most certainly is spiritual. So if spiritualism comes back, or righteous comes back, or the tree of life comes back, and you have the ability to eat off of the tree of life or the tree of knowledge of good and evil, wouldn't that mean that you got free will? Isn't that the choice? Isn't that the choice? I mean, what is this? This is not rocket science. Rocket science ain't rocket science. This is not close to it. Choice, free will. You got the free will to choose. Is that not what's now here in front of us? In the now? That's why you got the Gentiles trying to damn this to keep themselves relevant. Because they're not relevant if free will is back in. If I have free will, why would I entertain the Gentiles? Because I have a choice. I wouldn't. The only reason why they were entertained before is because we had no choice. Otherwise known, a.k.a., as we had no free will. That's why he told us you can't read, and if you read, you're going to get killed. That's why he said you can't write. If you write, you're going to die. You cannot express yourself. You cannot express your free will. That's why they coined freedom. As we know, is free Edom. Because a free Edom means a unfree Jacob. Ultimately, no free will for Jacob. And ultimately, the Father's grand in his design and his will, he made it so that as they took our free will, at the end, they will also have no free will as we gain free will. Because the gift will be for those. Now, some of them, very few, but some of them will have it. Who am I? And that's the thing. I don't know who's in the will of the Father. There's 9 billion people on this planet, so they say. But I don't know I'm not, I'm not the Father. I'm just saying that free will was taken over this entire earth by a particular certain group of people, Khazarian, Germanic, Indo-European. That's the they. So when people go, well, who is this they? The Khazarian, Germanic, Indo-European. And they go, what? You said Indo-European. That's right. But don't sleep. Don't forget about the Khazari and the German and the Germanic. Indo-European. That's why this is where we are. This is the Aquarius age. The Father is brought us full circle. And, free will is where it's going to boil down to. And that's the hardest thing to fight for, but it's the one thing that you have to. That's all you got. It's all we got. And at the end of the day, if you give up your free will, and when it's time to, be in to come in front of the Most High, and you ain't got no excuses because you gave up your free will. If you got your free will and you use it righteously and you willed it righteously, then you have a testimony of doing the righteous thing for the Father. And some people say, well, he never knew you. Well, he never knew you either, because all you're doing is bringing a Piscean authorityship, a Piscean autocrat dictatorship to the Aquarius age. It's just not going to work. Now, you're going to have some people that are still in the Piscean age because they haven't transitioned, but some of us have transitioned, or are rather transitioning. And, it's difficult because as you transition, you want to be able to be righteous, but you got all these people who still want to take your free will and give theirs away. So I say, brothers and sisters, friends and foes, do what you know is the right thing to do, and that is to keep hold of your free will. That's all you got. All praises to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To Elohim, Abraham, Isaac, Issac, Jacob. To the Most High, Yahuwah, Yahshua, the Holy Ruach. All praises. Shalom.